Assalamu alaikum. Today we will start the first lessons in Kufi script. We will do the geometric Kufi, which is the basic type of it. From there you can move on to the floral or other types of it, adding some decorations and decorating it in the way that you like to do. Now for this we will need a couple of tools. As you can see here, you've got rulers, triangles, compasses and basic geometric tools. A squared type of paper would do you a great favor in order to take a precise measurements of each letter. Once you finish practicing on this one, you can move to normal types of paper. Now a calculator would help you, given that you will have to subtract, divide and calculate some dimensions, but it's not vital, but it's quite helpful to be around. There are tools like this that you can get from engineering shops. They are quite helpful when you create ellipse, because they've got rounded shapes in different sizes. But we will come to this later. Now let's start with the letter Alef. Now first you need a baseline to work on. We will choose our baseline to be the one right here. Now for the sake of this video, I will choose the thickness of the letters to be 1.6 centimeters. Now this is because when you divide this on 2, it will give you 8 millimeters. If you divide this on 2, it will give you 4, and on 2 it will give you 2. So you've got normal numbers like in millimeters. Because if you take, for example, 1 centimeter and you divide that by 2, it will give you 5. If you divide that by 2, it will give you 2.5, which is really hard to draw on paper. You can't get down to that accuracy of a half a millimeter. Let's be realistic here. So the first thing we are going to do is get the boundaries of the 1.6. So it's quite easy using these squared paper. So if we have to start from here, this is 1 centimeter, this is half, and this is 0.6. So here we have the boundaries of our Alef. This line and this line. Now the letter Alef is 12 times the thickness. So 12 times the thickness, which is, let's say, 16 millimeter. This will give us a total of 19.2 centimeters or 192 millimeters. What you will have to do is get your ruler, put it down to the 19.2 millimeters and start from the top, from the 0, and go all the way down to the baseline. This dot is the maximum height of your Alef. And in general, it limits the maximum height of all the other letters. So this is a gridded line showing the maximum height you are going to work with. Now Kufi, the letter Alef in Kufi has different decorations and shapes. We will take several ones of those. So if we connected all the lines, it will look something like this. we can see here that this is a rectangular. Now, in Kufi, the top looks like this. It has a small pointed head, a decoration. Now, this decoration has dimensions to it. Whatever the thickness or the dimensions you are working on, let's say this is T thickness, this small decoration accounts for half T. Meanwhile, we are going to locate this small point. Meanwhile, this point accounts for 1.5 T. T is thickness. So, in order to locate this point, we'll have some GPS moment. We will start from the top and locate the point or the line that gives us 1.5 thickness. So we go over here, we go 1.5 multiplied by 16 millimeters. This will give us 2.4 centimeters. So what we will actually do, we'll get a pencil just in case. We will take our ruler and travel 2 centimeters and 4 millimeters. There you have it. Now we've got the horizontal line for this point. It will be located somewhere here. So this was the first line that we've achieved. The second one would be to move to the right half the thickness. Half 1.6, as we mentioned earlier, is 8 millimeters. So you go on this line that we've just drawn and you count 8 millimeters. It will be somewhere here. So this point will be the tip of the Alef. Now, in order to draw this, you need to count 8 millimeters from this line, which will end up here, and you will have to connect these two with a compass. If it was a small Alef, you can freehand do it, but here, as we can actually use the compass, because it's quite a big Alef, we can use it. Because this shape is in fact a quarter of a circle. Go a little bit bigger. And we do this shape. Let's see how it looks like. There you go. Now, we need to connect this point to this point. Now, some people connect it straight using a ruler. Meanwhile, others choose the midline of it and make a small inclination to it to give it more beauty. I made it 2 millimeters. You can go for more than that if you want to, depending on your taste. Other types could add more to it. It will look something like this. They will add a small nudge to it. Honestly, it's all back to your taste, what decoration you want to add here. Now, this is the simplest and the easiest form of Alef. To improve on that, we can add more to the lower part of the Alef. Now, we've got here several decorative moves. The first one, you could add a small kick to the Alef, right next to the bottom of it. This kick is half the thickness far from it. So let me show you how it looked like. So this is the lower part of it. This is the baseline. Now this is T, as we mentioned. You move half T over 2, and you draw this decoration. So this would be the small kick in the Alef. Let's do that. Half 16 is 8. Here is 8. We draw a straight line in it. So we moved half the thickness to the right. Now to determine the horizontal line, we go upwards the full thickness, which is 1.6, and we add to it another half to it. So the thickness would be the height of the horizontal line would be 1.5 T. So we moved the 1.6, now we move another 8, which is right over here, and we connect those to each other. It will look something like this. So we've got this line, and we can close it right down here. To add more to it, you will have to move full thickness. So this is 6, and another 4, that's 1, and we need 6, so it will be right over here. And you connect those to each other. The same thing applies if you want it to be straight or inclined, you can do it. Another decorative move would be to go down. Let's just do a quick reminder. This is T, which we took to be 1.6 centimeters or 16 millimeters. Here we've got this line, T over 2. Meanwhile, this line is 1.5 T. That's how we located this point. Here is the same. This line was T, the full thickness, this point that joins this part of the circle. Meanwhile, this part is 1.5 T. Here, as we've seen, this part from here to here is T, the thickness, which is again 16 millimeters. Meanwhile, this part is T over 2, which is 8 millimeters. This is quite a big Alef, just to explain how to do it. Now, the lower part, the maximum drop you can go for would be 1.5 thickness. So that would be 16 plus 8, 2.4 centimeters. So this line would be your maximum limit to go down and drop the Alef to it. Now you can either close it as a polygon, or you can add a small decoration to it. If you decide to add all the decorations, it will look something like this. Now, let's color this Alef and see how it will look like. Now, as we can see here, while doing Arabic calligraphy in general, you should be quite careful and move on a slow pace. For example, as we can see here, I took 2 millimeters more than I should have taken while I was quickly painting it. That's why it's to show you that you need to be more careful when you fill in your letters. Right here, we've got a small dodgy part, even here, here. So here we need some fillings. So this is what actually makes calligraphy more beautiful, is the perfection in it. But it's to show you that those small mistakes, they change the whole idea of calligraphy. You can't have those in your piece of art. So now we've seen how the singular Alef looks like. Someone would ask, well, what if it was connected? Now, in that case, you will give up the small decorations here. Like, for example, if it was a word ending with an Alef, or it has an Alef inside the word, like Ana. Now here, the first Alef would look like the Alef we've just drawn. The Noon, we will come to that later. The second Alef would have the same top in it, and you could add the lower decorative part. But you don't add the other parts. You don't add this part, the upper nudge. That's how you write it connected. When it comes with lam, for example, the famous word no, la, now here it will have a totally different shape to it, because it is a lam connected to an Alef. But here, they usually add more decorations to it. Or in some cases, it will go down and then come back, which we will come to in a later stage, to give more shapes to it. It actually intersects sometimes. So this would go here, this would go here, and you will have different geometric shapes to it, and decorative moves that we will look into in a later time. In this video, we learned how to create the Alef. Now, for those of you at home, we will have a small homework. Given that we've just learned one letter, it will be nice if you try to write the Alef in its several shapes and forms. You can try this one, color it, then go for the second one that goes down to this point, color it, try the one with the decorations. You can get all of them at once and color it. Now this way you will get into the script itself, and the next letters that you're going to learn would be easier for you. You'll wrap your mind about the fact that this is the thickness. That's always the case, whether you were moving vertically, horizontally, or in an angle, because some letters, like the kaf for example, sometimes it would look like this. This part, This is a decorative move. Then you go with a 45-degree inclination to the right, then to the left, and then you add a small decoration here. So here, if you can see the, let's color it. This is rounded, and we've got this in an angle, and the last part of the calf. So this is the letter calf, a big one. Now, as we can see here, the thickness T does not change throughout the letter. That's something really important. That's why you need to practice the Alef, get your head around the measurements. It's not complicated, it's not algebra, it's basics. It's just subtraction and addition. You will need some sort of skills or basic skills about the angles for these parts, which we will learn later on. You need a steady hand, but personally I think it's a very simple text that anyone can master at some point. So I hope you enjoyed this video and it was very informative. Check the questions that shows up on the lessons page. Answer them, because they will remind you and they will test your ability to answer questions about this script. This has been Amar Awadi. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time.